Straw, the psychological crime film from writer-director Tyler Perry, blends emotional turmoil with sharp suspense to deliver one of Netflix's most popular thrillers of the year so far. The film stars Taraji P. Henson as Janiyah Wilkinson, a single mother caught in a whirlwind of personal and financial crises. As her day spirals out of control, so does her grip on what's right, what's legal, and what's even real. The grounded story quickly escalates into a nail-biting drama, with unexpected turns and a trail of bodies that leave viewers questioning everything. Perry strips the narrative down to raw moments of desperation, exploring what can happen when someone's pushed beyond their limits. Why does Janiyah hold up a bank? What's the real story behind her daughter? And what does it mean when someone finally reaches their last straw? We address those questions and dig into the intense final moments below. Here's the Straw ending, explained. Straw, 2025, is an American thriller movie that premiered on June 6, 2025. On Netflix. Directed and produced by Tyler Perry, the movie follows a struggling mother, Janiyah, who loses her daughter Oria to Child Protective Services. Quite literally on her final straw, Janiyah resorts to extreme measures to protect both herself and her daughter. Janiyah, who is having the worst day possible, goes to the bank to cash her check for her daughter's lunch money. Janiyah forgets her ID, so the cashier denies her the money. At this point, she snaps and pulls out a gun to force the cashier. One thing leads to another, and Janiyah is mistaken for a bank robber, and the entire bank becomes her hostage. In the end, Nicole, the bank manager, takes Janiyah by the hand and leads her outside the bank. With her hands up in the air, Janiyah is handcuffed by the police and taken into custody. She thanks Nicole for saving her life before being driven away, while her supporters cheer her on. What is Straw about? The official synopsis for Straw sets the tone, stating, "A single mother's world unravels in chaos as her day goes from bad to worse to catastrophic as she struggles to care for her ill daughter. Pushed to the brink by a world that seems indifferent to her existence, she is forced to confront impossible choices in a society that offers her no safety net." It's a devastating story rooted in harsh reality, one that resonated deeply with Henson. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, the Oscar nominee said she was drawn to how Straw highlights how easy it is for people in a vulnerable position to be disregarded or disenfranchised by a system that is supposed to protect them. "That seems to be still an ongoing thing in society today," she added. "I often see people having mental breakdowns on Instagram, and people post it in jest or making fun of it, but I'm like, at the end of the day, was that person treated like trash, or were they treated like a human who needed help? So I'm always interested in that, and that's what I found very interesting about playing this character. This woman is just trying to make it through her day and take care of her child by herself, with all the odds stacked against her. I've been there before." What pushes Janiyah to take over the bank? After losing custody of her sick daughter Oria, Gabby Jackson, Janiyah's life completely unravels. A racist cop, played by Tilky Jones, runs her off the road, seizes her car, and confiscates her expired license. She also gets fired for leaving work and returns home in the rain to find her belongings dumped on the curb by her landlord. Desperate for her final paycheck, Janiyah goes back to her grocery store job, only to walk into an armed robbery. Held at gunpoint with her boss Richard, Glynn Turman, she is shocked when one of the masked men reads her name tag. She fights them off and even disarms one, shooting him while the other flees. Dazed and panicked, she also shoots Richard during his 911 call and flees. At the bank across the street, Janiyah tries to cash her now bloody check, but without ID, she is rejected. At her breaking point, she sets the robber's gun on the counter, and when the bank manager, Nicole, Sherry Shepard, sees blinking lights from Area Science Project in her bag, she calls in a bomb threat to the police. How does Janiyah's daughter die? Throughout the film, Janiyah fights desperately to reunite with her daughter. Even as she faces severe criminal charges, Nicole and Detective K. Raymond, Teyana Taylor, sympathize with Janiyah's pain. She pleads with Nicole to care for Oria and promise they'll arrange visits in jail. But tragedy soon strikes when Janiyah's mother, Dolores, Cheryl Frazier, calls and delivers some shocking news: Oria died from a seizure the night before. As it turns out, Janiyah has been hallucinating her daughter's presence all day, thoroughly lost in grief and denial. This twist was just as surprising to Henson as it was to her character. She recently told Decider, "When I was reading it, I was like, oh. Yes. Reading the script, I was blown away. But then it made sense, in her actions. Because what it showed me was that she snapped a long time ago," she continued. "She snapped the day before. She was just on automatic. She wasn't even in her body, to be quite honest. I just played the honesty of her living the life as if nothing happened." What happens at the end of Straw? As Janiyah wrestles with the heartbreaking loss of her daughter, tension escalates outside the bank where she's holed up. An FBI extraction team moves in, ready to storm the building, promising an explosive and brutal showdown. The air is thick with chaos, and soon, tear gas is unleashed, bullets seem to fly, and it feels like disaster is inevitable. However, the violence turns out to be a hallucination. In reality, Nicole calmly talks Janiyah down, and she ultimately surrenders, walking out of the bank as police surround her and Nicole. Detective Raymond immediately steps forward, positioning herself between the FBI and Janiyah. She cuffs Janiyah and then breaks the tension with a simple and gentle, "It's nice to meet you." In that moment, Janiyah turns and spots a crowd of protesters gathered outside, standing in solidarity with her and offering her support amid the pain of her ordeal. Was the straw ending also one of Janiyah's hallucinations? The line between reality and hallucination blurs toward the end of the movie, but it does leave clues. There are two confirmed mind tricks in Straw. The first is Janiyah hallucinating that Oria is still alive, even though we know she died of a seizure the night before the bank heist. Her continued presence is a representation of denial and grief, a ghost bearing the burden of Janiyah's unresolved anguish. And second, the image of Janiyah being shot dead inside the bank is a mirage rather than an accurate description of how the standoff ended. However, as the film moves into its final act, additional doubts arise. Are the crowds outside the bank rallying in support of Janiyah real? Or is that also a part of her distorted vision? It seems that it's up to the viewers to decide what they wish to believe. If we accept that Janiyah is experiencing multiple hallucinations, not just that of Oria being alive, then the entire narrative shifts. Her journey is driven not by reality but by a series of fantasies stacked on top of each other that prove she's simply trying to escape her daughter's death and the pain that comes with it. If the final scene is real, the crowd shows how people often take someone's personal tragedy and turn it into a public cause without knowing the full truth behind it. If it's not real, then the crowd is just one last illusion Janiyah gives herself to make the pain bearable.